Copyright the University of Auckland. All rights reserved. The content and delivery of lectures in this course are protected by copyright. Material belonging to others may have been used in these lectures and copied by and solely for the educational purposes of the university under license. You may record the lectures for the purposes of private study or research, but you may not upload onto any third-party site, make a further copy, or sell, alter, or further reproduce or distribute any part of these lectures to any other person. Failure to comply with the terms of this warning may expose you to legal action for copyright infringement by the copyright owner and/or disciplinary action by the university.
Kia ora, everybody. Let me introduce myself. I'm Professor Jo Manning, and next year in the first semester, I'm pleased to bring you the elective, the 15-point elective in healthcare law. So 15-point course, 3 hours a week, first semester. So let me tell you a little bit about what the course content will comprise. Healthcare law has grown into a discrete area of specialist study in about the last 30 or 40 years. It encompasses the study of the principles of law that govern medical practice, the health professional-patient relationship, and the delivery of health services. So a selection of topics from the following will be taught. We usually start the course with an introduction to the groundbreaking unfortunate experiment at National Women's Hospital in the 1960s and 70s and mid-80s of the last century, which culminated in the Law Reform Committee of Inquiry headed by Judge Sylvia Cartwright, which became called the Cartwright Report after that. In New Zealand, by virtue of having no medical negligence action, you learnt that in torts, instead we have a complaints regime which fulfills a pivotal role in terms of accountability of health providers, health and disability services providers. It's under the jurisdiction of a commissioner, a health and disability commissioner, who applies a code of health and disability services consumers' rights. Now that's a mouthful and usually just gets called the Code of Rights. So we look at the Code of Rights and the HDC jurisdiction. Further accountability of health practitioners occurs through the discipline system in New Zealand, and we will look at the Health Practitioners Disciplinary Tribunal's jurisdiction, and also civil proceedings under the Human Rights Review Tribunal, as well as the very rare, medical manslaughter prosecutions brought against health practitioners. The core concepts of the course relate to competence to consent to medical treatment and what amounts to an informed consent to medical treatment. And we'll look at the common law and the Code of Rights relating to consent. But of course, not all patients are capable, have competence to give a valid consent. Some lack the mental competence to do so. And of course, there are children. How is consent lawfully given to these classes of patient? So we'll look at the legal principles governing the treatment of adults who aren't capable of consenting, and if there's time, we'll look at those relating to children and adolescents. Another important part of the course are the ethical and legal principles relating to assisted dying, and we look at the New Zealand's End of Life Choice Act, which comes into effect later in the year, so it will be in force when we look at it next year. And then we also look at the legal principles relating to withholding and withdrawing life prolonging treatment at the end of life. Now, this is a big reading course. You can only really learn the legal principles if you do the assigned reading. And cases and other materials are distributed on the reading lists online on Canvas, and we use this throughout the course. How will you be assessed in this course? There will be a first assignment after about 3 weeks. That's a multi-choice test on material covered to that date, and it's worth 10% of the final grade. Then there's a second assignment, which is really short answers, but the maximum word length is 1,500 words. You'll be asked a series of questions relating to a problem or fact scenario. So you're asked to apply the law to a particular fact scenario. And the assignment will be placed on Canvas, and it'll be open for about 3 weeks. And that's worth 20% of the final grade. And then there's a final open book examination worth 70% of the final grade. So if you're interested in this area of the law, I look forward to seeing you in class next year in the first semester. Ngā mihi.